Hey YouTubes, you can be here with a review of the Kamen Rider Ghost. Ghost Change Series 01, Kamen Rider Ghost Ore Damashii. So this is Kamen Rider Ghost's main base form, and this is one of the few Ghost Change set releases that actually includes a figure. Unlike Drive, where we got a figure almost every single time, just the way that Ghost system works, we get very few figures this time around, but we get a whole lot of Parka Ghosts. So here's a quick look at the package and what we expect. No window here, it's actually just an open face package with the inside plastic bubble there to protect the figure. How it works on the side here, pictures of the toy in the front, suit in the show up on top. Other picture of the toy and a brief description of how it works on the back, with an advertisement for GC02 featuring Musashi Ghost and Edison Ghost in a set together. And that is really about it. This was released in October 2015 for about 3,200 yen or so, give or take, depending on where you picked it up. The typical price that we've pretty much had since Arms Change, at least. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and we'll not get this open, but bring in the actual toy. Alright, so included in the set is the base figure for Kamen Rider Ghost, the Gan Gun Saber in its blade mode, as well as the Parka Ghost for Ore Damashii. We'll take a look at all those. Go ahead and start with the weapon real quick, just because it's right here. It is made of black plastic, but it's a nice sort of smoky translucent plastic. You can kind of see through it, and it gives off a nice sort of ghouly vibe, so to speak, and then I drop it like a stupid. It's a little bit inconsistent because I think the weapons in the GC02 set are either pure black or pure gray or something, so it's a little inconsistent and that bothers me a bit, but it definitely looks really cool. There's a lot of kind of inside details on that, so it looks really cool. There's a lot of possibilities if you are a painter to make this look really, really nice. So we'll go ahead and set that aside and jump into the figure next. So if you have collected the Arms Change series or the Tire Kokon series, you pretty much know what to expect from this base figure. Not a whole lot has changed whatsoever. Up here on the face, you have a nice compound effect right here. It kind of looks like a fencing mask. That will give a lot of really pretty effects when you insert the Parka Ghost to make the full helmet. There is a full rotation here. It's just on a ball and socket joint, so you get a little bit of up and down movement as well. Full rotation here is just on a swivel system. A swivel at the bicep, a single joint at the elbow, swivel at the wrist. You do have the typical two-finger bunches right there to hold on to the weapons. Of note, the hands are actually a clear black plastic, as are most of this figure. A lot of this figure is made of black transparent plastic. I mean, you can see, kind of see my finger waving right there, right through the body, actually. So that it's kind of neat. It gives a nice ghostly appearance, and I really dig that. And you got a nice clear plastic coating on here as well to fully emulate how the suit in the show looks. And I think that's really nice as well. So that looks really neat. Lots of transparent plastic. Even down here at the feet is a little bit transparent. So it's really cool. It gives it a nice effect. I like it a lot. And worth noting is the Ghost Driver is actually very nicely done. All the paint that really needs to be there is really just the handle right here is right there. You can't see a ghost icon on there, obviously, because you're changing the form. That would get a little problematic on such a simple toy. But one is molded in there, so you got that at least. And there's a nice clear plastic coating on the Ghost Driver to emulate the actual coating. Could have been a little bit more smoky to give it a full accurate effect, but as it stands, it's not all that bad. So I like a lot what they did. The orange looks nice. To continue the articulation, you get a swivel at the waist, swivel system right there at the hips, swivel at the thigh, single joint at the knee, and a ball and socket joint right down there at the ankle for the feet. So that about does it. Like I said, the articulation is exactly what we have known to expect with these gimmick figures. They really haven't changed the mold quite a bit over the years. So here is an Arms Change figure using the Watermelon Arm Zangetsu base body, since that's like the only one I still own. And so as you can see, they're about the same height, all the same articulation points. Basically, looking at them, they're like twins. It's really the same exact mold. And to further drive home my point, here's Proto Drive. Puns. Since he's the one that was sitting on my desk. So there's a little bit more differences in the drive body, obviously, just because of the way that the gimmick worked, but even then you can see the size is the same, the points of articulation are the same, the camera's a little bit off, and it's pretty much what we've come to expect with these gimmick figures. And just for a size comparison for something that might be in the house, here's a can of soda. Give you a kind of bit of scale on how big these are. They're about 5-inch figures. So, that's about it for the actual main figure. Let's go ahead and set him aside, bring in the Parka Ghost. GC02 includes 2 stands that are basically just like a clear circle with a pole. It's a decorative pole. It's a nice looking stand thing. That basically just kind of, I don't want to use my middle finger, that's rude. Kind of just slots right into the ghost, and they can stand on the little pedestal thing. So that's really cool. I wish this came with one, just in case you wanted to display Ghost, like not untransformed, but without a Parka Ghost, and just sort of have all the ghosts lined up right next to him. I think it would make a really nice display, but unfortunately they did not include one with the figure. So the Parka Ghost really doesn't do a whole lot. It can kind of just wave it around. There is a little bit of arm articulation up here in the shoulder. There's a swivel and a ball and socket joint connecting it, so you can get a little bit of posing. With these, this is just a soft rubbery plastic, so it is very much pliable, so be careful where you store this. Otherwise, if it gets all bent up, it could stay that way, and you don't really want that to happen. So, that is really about it for the Parka Ghost. How these connect is basically inside of here. I don't know how well I'll be able to show it off, but there's 2 tabs right here, and then there's 2 slots, just like the arms change figures, right there on his shoulders, and that basically just plugs right in. So to do that, you just flip these up. They don't tab in anywhere. The Edison ones that I've seen tab. But these ones don't tab. They just fold right up like that. Then you flip that forward to reveal the Ore Damashii face. And that opens up another little slot somewhere up here in the front of the... right up there in the front. And that will plug into this little slot right there on the top of his head. So you take your figure, and you just kind of slide him in, and then push down, and then keep pushing down to lock everything in place. And there you have Kamen Rider Ghost Ore Damashii. And I like the way it looks for the most part. It is a little bit bulky. These shoulder sleeves add a lot of thickness to the shoulders and the arms, so it does end up looking rather bulky. But for the most part, I think they nailed it pretty decent in terms of design. I think it looks nice. Outside of looking nice, though, I can't say a whole lot of good about this figure. And I know there's people that really like this line, and that is fine. Your opinion is fine. But me, as a reviewer, as a person, am not a huge fan of this series thus far. For starters, the shoulder articulation is definitely very much hindered. They fixed it a little bit in giving this a ball and socket joint up here, because you can raise the arms still. It looks really stupid, but you can raise the arms still. Same with this direction. Again, it looks really stupid, but you can do it. So that's not a huge problem. It just doesn't really look that nice. The biggest problem I have is it no longer has any sort of head articulation. Because of the way that this is designed, you can't turn his head at all. No head turning whatsoever. You can get a little bit of up and down because of the way that this moves during the transformation. That's it. It can't look up all that far. It can't look down all that far. You get a little bit of wiggle. And that's it. There's nothing else to this. So if you wanted to get like a cool sort of side view pose, you can't. There's nothing you can do about it, really. And I think that's the biggest unfortunate thing about this, is that during Arms Change, entire CoCom, we were getting very posable figures that didn't quite meet the standards of figure arts, but they could rival figure arts given the fact that they were a bit cheaper, especially if you get them on sale and stuff like that. But these really can't compete. And while this certainly is probably a lot more fun, you only get one figure, and you get all the little Parka Ghosts that you can display, and you can switch and mix and match, and it's a lot of fun, I'm sure. But in terms of having a presentable, displayable, collectible figure, it certainly doesn't meet that point. So it does a great job of being fun, I'm sure, because putting the Parka Ghost on is quite fun, I suppose. But in terms of like a sort of collectible display sort of thing that people have come to expect from the improving gimmick figures over the years, it doesn't quite hit that mark. The lack of head articulation is what really, really gets me. Now, I think it was Wotaku Fighter, Wotafa, that that's the first time I said that really fast and it sounds funny. Sorry, Wotafa. But there's a way around this, sort of, and that is to... I don't particularly want to do this on camera because it is a pain. When you take it off, his head gets stuck in there a lot. That might just be me in the way that I'm prying it off with my cold, dead hands. But, what? I didn't say that. So, you're back to the figure. Basically, what you do is you take the Parka Ghost apart. Not quite that apart. But, they connect right up here. That little tab right there will go through this slot right there. And so you can take these apart if you pop this segment back on, because that wasn't supposed to come off. So if you take apart the pieces of the Parka Ghost, sorry about that, and set that aside, basically you can tab these into the back where they plug in right here, and then tab in the other side where they tab in back there. And so you got the arms situated. And then so this segment can then plug back in here and then plug into the top where the head is plugged in. And now that that's unsegmented, you can now kind of get head articulation. It still doesn't work all that well, in all honesty. Yeah, you can raise it up and get some side-to-side movement now. But, again, if you look at it in any sort of pose besides straight on, not looking too great there. You kind of look a little bit segmented there, Ghost. So, it's a fix, but I still wouldn't really classify it as something that is, like, redeemable. I think there's a lot of ways that they could have improved this figure, and this is where, like, my total rambly review segment comes in. I apologize for anyone that just wanted demos of this. To me, I think this would have benefited from having different segments, sort of like armor pieces that attached. Like have the armor, the Parka Ghost be in segments like this. This is gonna be a little bit longer of a video, and I apologize for that. So kind of, if you dismantle everything, you can't really dismantle where I want to right here, but basically pop this entire hood section off. And basically have the hood and the helmet, the back armor piece, these front armor pieces, and then the shoulder armor for when it's applicable, like Musashi doesn't have shoulders. And the base figure basically have little slots, and you just plug in the Parka pieces as necessary, and then you plug in the back, and then the helmet would just slot right in, sort of similar to the Arms Change series, or like this, just plug it into the top. This would allow head articulation. This would allow open shoulder articulation because the pad right there would be unhinged. And you really wouldn't have any sort of problems whatsoever. And given the fact that outside of this, and this can simply just be attached through some poles, some pegs and holes, I combined them. I don't see why this wasn't something that could have been done. Because really, honestly, with all these pieces, they're almost there. And the Parka Ghost would have totally still been workable. This could still have a hinge and do its thing. So I think that's a little bit disappointing that they ended up going with this. Because honestly, if if that could happen, if it could still have unhindered shoulder articulation and still have head movement, I would really love this figure, and I'd probably buy into it. As it stands right now, I have not bought GC02. It was released last weekend, and I'm not sure if I'm going to continue the Ghost Change line or not. This figure, despite the fact that I like how it looks in both modes, that sort of thing kind of bothers me a lot. And for the price of these, I'm not 100% sure it's something that I should do. Here's where you guys come in. If you really want to see more Ghost Change reviews from me, please let me know in the comments. If there is enough demand for it, then I will certainly look into buying into the line, even though there are quite a few releases scheduled, and that is quite a bit of money. If it's something that you guys want to see, then I can't ignore you guys completely. So if you want to see more Ghost Change reviews, please like this video and comment below, and we will see what we can do. But as of this moment, as of this recording, I do not plan on purchasing them. But like I said, if you want to see them, let me know, and I will certainly possibly change my mind if demand is strong. So overall, like I said, it's a fun figure. I like the base mold a lot. They did a great job on the base mold of the figure. The Parka Ghost looks nice on display on the little stands. They look great. But the combination of the two is where things start getting messy. Like I said, there's a lot of ways that they could have done to fix this and still retain the articulation, but unfortunately they did not, and that really does bug me. For the price that you are paying for these, 3,200 yen is about 28 bucks or so. I expect a figure with pretty decent articulation. Sorry, but that's just how I feel about the subject. So it's unfortunate that things happen the way they happen, because there's a lot going for this figure, and if you can look past the articulation, I think it is a really fun figure that you probably won't have too many problems with. But the head articulation thing is a really big letdown for me, given how much I liked the Tire Kokon and the Arms Change series figures. So it's kind of like a step backwards to me on this, and I'm not sure how I feel. Maybe it'll pass and I'll end up liking it a little bit more in the future, but as of right now, fiddling with it for about a week or so, I just can't get over that lack of head articulation after you combine the two. So that about does it for this review. If you like it, go ahead and blast that like button, comment below, and subscribe for more. So as always, thanks for watching, take care, and have a great one. Bye.